Hi guys, so while we've all been sitting in quarantine, I found myself looking at old photos and particularly those underwater photos and like how they can be revamped and like how people edit them and stuff. So I thought I would share with you guys what I've learned over the past couple weeks. So basically, um, editing underwater photos, you really want to emphasize the subject in the photo, but you also want to clear around the background and like bring back those skin tones and those natural tones of the ocean that like often your GoPro won't pick up because of just the quality and the lack of light that is underwater. So this is the image we'll be editing. I just want to show you guys, and this is what it's going to look like after. So as you can see, there's quite a difference there. The subject is really emphasized. And just the water is clearer. What I've done is I've added a little bit of a filter, like a radial filter down the bottom, just to kind of go into that depth type thing. So depending on how you want your photos to look is how you will edit them. But this one has a bit of a darker theme going. So to start, what we're going to do is we're going to straighten this photo. So I'm just going to go into crop, and then And then next what you want to do is we're going to go straight for the dehaze. So that is something that basically helps clear up the water. It gets rid of kind of like the grain that you'll find in a lot of GoPro photos, and it just emphasizes the surrounding water and stuff. So we're going to bump that up to 23. Obviously you can do whatever settings you like for these, but these are just like the general ones which will help your photos to get a lot clearer and a lot more, I would like to say better, but I mean, it's just personal opinion. So next we're going to go into our white balance. So this is where a lot of the photo will change. So what you want to do is you want to bump up the tint. So we're going to go up to 60 for this one. I just want to show you like what happens when this occurs. So as you can see, like the water's already changing, the skin tone's changing. Then when you get to this stage, I mean, it looks pretty extreme. But then what we're going to do is we're going to bring up the temperature, and that's going to change a lot of things as well. So that's going to bring a lot of the life back into the subject. So we bring that down to 15. So at the moment it looks a bit blah, but I mean, that's just because we haven't gone through with all the colors and stuff. But as you can see, like that's already made a pretty big difference. Basically next, so we're going to go down to camera calibration. So this is right down here. It'll have like what make or model you took this photo on. So this was taken on a GoPro with a dome as well. So that's why we can have a bit of the surface and that lets more light in. So I really would suggest if you do want to bring out your GoPro photos, do purchase a dome. Best thing that we ever bought, and it literally made some amazing photos in the Philippines. So that was definitely a big plus. Full disclosure as well, these photos were taken in the Philippines, and that has some of the clearest water in the world. So if you don't necessarily like achieve the same results, just understand that there are other environmental factors that could go into this, and your settings may be a bit different based on that. So yeah, just a heads up for that one. So what we're going to do now is we're going to mess with the lighting a little bit. So we're going to bring up the exposure to about 20. I feel like 27 is a pretty good number. Next, the contrast, just add a bit more depth into the image because we have taken a lot out in the temperature and tint. Next, we want to go for highlights. So because underwater photos are so low light, what you want to do is bring up your highlights because that's like your source of light in underwater. So that's really going to make a difference to the image. It's just going to have a nicer effect. So we're going to bring that up to about 90. I think that looks pretty good. Shadows. So if you want your image to really be light, and if that's like the style that you want to go for, I would suggest bring your shadows up. But for me, for this image in particular, I'm going to bring it down a bit. So we're going to go down to about like minus 13. So I think that looks pretty nice. It's still, you can still see the subject, but then, you know, the areas around are a little bit darker. So that's always kind of what we're going for with this one. Next, with the whites, I'm going to stick with the number 13 again. up to 13, so that's just going to clarify the bubbles and kind of bring up those highlights a little bit more. What we're doing here is basically just isolating different parts of light in the photo. Alright, so after we've done that, we want to go to clarity. We want to add normally between like 5 and 10 is a pretty good number, so we're going to go around 5. Yep, and then our vibrance and saturation. So we want to add a bit more color in. So we're going to go about 5, probably like +2. Not too much, we don't want it to look too over edited and over colorized. So next is what I want to do is I want to focus on the HSL and the color sliders. So this is where you'll be able to adjust your tones a bit more. If you don't necessarily like how it's looking so far, you want to change the blues in particular. So what we're going to do is we're going to change the red. We're going to go up to 23. So basically what the red is going to do is it's going to adjust the skin tone a bit more. Our oranges, we're going to go to about 18. So that's just going to balance out that red. So our red we move to orange, orange we're going to move a bit more to the yellow. So it just kind of evens that out a bit more. Yellow we're going to bring up to 56. So as you can see, not a lot changes in the image for yellows, but that is kind of important for the skin tone as well. For our aquas, so this is where you're going to see a big change in the color of the ocean. So what we're going to do is we're going to go about to 20. And so we're bringing it positive because that's more to the blue side. So that's going to impact how we do our blues next. So our blues we're going to minus actually to 11. So we're going to bring it more to an aqua tone. And then we're not going to worry about saturation or anything at the moment. We'll go to our luminance. So this is basically like kind of brightens that certain color. I like to use it because it desaturates almost, like just in the mildest form. So we're going to bring our aquas to 63 or around there. And then our blues are also going to go up. So we're going to bring that to about 29, 30. So I think that's looking pretty good so far. I like the blues in that. I like how it's working and like the tints and stuff that we've created. The next thing we want to go to, so this is calibration. So this is isolating those colors even more. It also kind of just has a little bit more of an impact than what we just did with those. So it's actually like the colors in the photo. So our blue primary, we're going to move to -25. So this just also brings out those aquas a bit more. As you can see, there was a slight change. And then saturation we're going to leave. Our red primary we're going to bring to +3, so we don't want too much of a change, otherwise it's going to mess with our skin tone to have a little bit of an impact on the image, just bring out that skin tone a bit more. So, now that we've done that, we want to kind of isolate certain parts of the image to emphasize them and bring them out a bit more. So, what we're going to do is we're going to go to the brush up here, and then we're going to make sure that auto mask is selected, because that is important, because what that does is it isolates the colors in the photo and allows you to select that part of the image. So I'm just going to zoom in a little bit on this photo, and what we're going to do is we're going to isolate the subject. Selected. We're going to unselect just so we can see what we're doing. So I don't know why it does this, but it automatically goes to -2 point something exposure. So we're not a fan of that. But anyway, we're going to bring our temperature up to about 39. So this is just going to bring back a little bit more color in the image and in the person. And then our tint is going to be 33. So once again, just like adjusting those skin tones, making it look a little more lifelike rather than just that washed out color that we had before. Our exposure we're going to bring up just a tad. I don't want it too bright. Our contrast, we're not going to mess with. Our highlights we will, so we'll add a little bit more, 45. Shadows, bring them up a little bit. Our whites are going to be at 2 and our blacks are at -4, just to bring a little bit more contrast into them so they don't look quite as one-dimensional. Next, we're going to add some more dehaze. So we're going to bring that up to about 13. And then our saturation we're going to bring up to 5. So as you can see, it's a pretty big difference from what we saw before. It just kind of emphasizes the person, and that's like what you really want to do. So what we're going to do next, we're going to bring back the image to our fit screen, and I don't really like how purple the top of the water is right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another brush stroke. To change the purple, we're going to adjust our tint again, so I'm going to bring it down to the green. And then I'm going to bring this bit down to the blue so that we just have a little bit more colour in that, but we also get rid of the purple, so it doesn't look quite as edited. Alright, now I'll probably bring the saturation down a little bit, just because that blue is a little bit heavy. Exposure up a tad. Alright, and then for the next, I just want to kind of whiten these bubbles. So we're just going to go through here and select those, just to lighten them up a bit. And I'll just make the image look a little bit cleaner and a little bit more interesting. So we're just going to bring our whites up. I'm going to bring the tint down because it's a little bit purple. And bring the temperature down just a tad. And our exposure just up a minor part. So that just kind of, I don't know, I like that changes that a little bit. Alright, so what we're going to do is to add a little bit more depth to the photo, is I'm going to add a radial filter. So what I want to do is I want to pull out the image about 1.8. So there we go. And then lastly, I just want to kind of edit the sky. So what you're going to do is just select that again and then make the clouds a little bit lighter. But yeah, that's basically it. So as you can see, that's kind of how you take your photos from looking like this to something a little